Texas hospital facing serious questions now about the first person diagnosed in this country with Ebola because the first time that he came in sick, they sent him home. Welcome to Happening Now. I'm Shannon Bream in for Jenna Lee.
And hello, Shannon. Hello, everyone. I'm Eric Shawn in today for John Scott. Well, now dozens of people may have been exposed. This says that Thomas Duncan's family members are ordered to stay home. That hospital, Texas Presbyterian, is in Dallas. Duncan, they say, came to the ER last week. And according to reports, he did tell nurses that he just returned from West Africa. Yet, they still let him go home just with those antibiotics. We're all now watching a second scare in Hawaii. That's where another patient, they say, is isolated. And according to a message to hospital staff, is showing symptoms that they say are consistent with Ebola. John Roberts has been watching these developments from Atlanta, where he joins us now. John?
Eric, good morning to you. Let me just pick up on the Hawaii patient for a second. Out of an abundance of caution, like so many other patients, that one has been isolated, but my contacts at the Centers for Disease Control don't believe that case is going to turn out to be like the one in Dallas. Now to the Dallas case. The Dallas Public Health Authorities have now said that they are looking for as many as 100 people who may have come in some sort of contact with Thomas Eric Duncan over the time that he landed in the United States on the 20th of September and the time he was put in the hospital on the 28th. They do believe that the actual number of contacts will be significantly lower than that. You mentioned this order for the family to stay at home. That came late last night. Yesterday at a press conference, Zachary Thompson, who's the head of the Dallas County HHS, was very stern, saying, we have recommended very strongly to these potential patients, the family members of Thomas Eric Duncan, to stay inside, to stay out of the public. And we're getting indications that they may not be so inclined to do that, so we may have to take more significant measures. Late last night, public health officials did that. They issued an order for them to stay inside, out of the public, until the 19th of October, which is the end of that 21-day potential incubation window. And we're learning about this huge ball that was dropped. And those are not my words. Those are the words of Anthony Fauci, the head of the National Institute on Allergy and Infectious Disease at the Texas Presbyterian Hospital. Thomas Eric Duncan came into the hospital late last Thursday night, the 25th, complaining that he didn't feel well. He told the person who took him in that he had just returned from Liberia, but that word was not passed along to doctors. What's most ironic about this is that that hospital just a week prior held an Ebola procedure review exercise, and then when an Ebola patient walks into the hospital, they send him back home. Dr. Mark Lester is a hospital official. Here's how he explained it yesterday.
The overall clinical presentation was not typical at that time yet for Ebola. So as the team assessed him, they felt clinically it was a low-grade common viral disease.
Right, so they didn't treat it like it was potentially Ebola, but what they did do is they gave him antibiotics, which doesn't really fit because antibiotics don't work on a virus. So the fact that the word was not passed a week after they had the exercise, raising a lot of questions. Then there's this. 4 days before he left Liberia, according to an article in the New York Times, from Monrovia, he was helping transport a young woman who was desperately ill with Ebola to the hospital, then back into her home. He actually, according to the New York Times, carried her into her home where she died several hours later, and then he, 4 days later, got on a plane and came to the United States. Now, they are supposed to be asked, people who are traveling out of Liberia, first of all, do you have a fever? And they're checked for that. Secondly, have you been in contact with anybody who has potentially had Ebola? Obviously, something fell through the cracks. Here's what we know about his travel. He went from Liberia to Brussels, Belgium, then to Dulles Airport just outside of Washington, then on to Dallas, Texas. This leg was on 2 United Airlines flights, 951 Brussels to Dulles, and then 822 from Dulles to Dallas. United Airlines, and this was on the 20th of September, United Airlines says anybody who is concerned about being on the flight with this fellow, please contact the Centers for Disease Control. Eric, there are so many things about this case that do not make sense. It really has a lot of people questioning whether or not all the safeguards are adequately in place to protect us.
Also raising a lot of questions, John, on whether there should be a travel ban and whether people are coming here or potentially could who suspect they have Ebola to get treated here in the United States. John Roberts live. Thanks so much.